Hello and welcome to our live coverage of President Park Geun-hye's Independence Movement Day speech. We are going to be going live to the ceremony as soon as it's ready to begin. Just to mention that we will, of course, have simultaneous English translation of what the attendees are saying and what the President says during her speech. President Park is due to start speaking in around 20 minutes' time from now at the Sejong Center in central Seoul. That is what you're looking at there. But we will cut to the ceremony prior to that once it gets underway. Now, just to give you some information about the day in the meantime, this is the 97th anniversary of Korea's March 1st Independence Movement Day. The day is a national holiday here in Korea, and it is a solemn and proud day for Koreans around the world. It marks the 1919 uprising against Japanese colonial rule. On March 1st, 1919, 9 years after Japan colonized Korea, hundreds of thousands of Koreans rose up against their Japanese oppressors, pouring into the streets to demand independence. It is, in fact, estimated that some 2 million people took part in those demonstrations. And just to give you an idea of how many people that is, that's around 10% of the entire population of Korea at that time. Now, the movement was non-violent and demonstrated a huge amount of courage, with those taking part risking their lives for their freedom. And for many, in fact, they sacrificed their lives as they were imprisoned, tortured, and killed by the Japanese. Still, to this day, Koreans remember the bravery and the sacrifices made by those people. And if you were to take a stroll around Seoul or any urban area, in fact, in Korea today, you will see the Korean flag, the taegukgi, proudly rippling in the wind down across every street. Once again, if you are just joining us, we are about to take in the official ceremony marking Korea's Independence Movement Day and President Park Geun-hye's speech. This will be her fourth such speech since taking office. Yes, we're going to pass it over right now, in fact, to our team of translators who will walk you through the ceremony and describe all that's going on.
I pledge in front of the proud taegukgi allegiance to the Republic of Korea for the eternal glory of the country, liberty and justice. At ease. Next is the singing of the national anthem. We will be joined by baritone Jung Kyung, musical actor Lee Tae-won, the Uijeongbu City Boys and Girls Choir, and Kang Bom-gyu and Yoo Tae-young.
이어서 순국 선열 및 호국 영령에 대한
Next, we will
묵념을
observe a
올리겠습니다.
moment of silence for the martyrs and fallen patriots of the country.
바로 모두 자리에 앉아 주시기 바랍니다.
At ease, please take your seats.
다음은 박유철 광복회장께서 독립 선언서를
President of the Korea
낭독하겠습니다.
Liberation Association, Park Yu-chul, will recite the Declaration of Independence.
독립 선언서.
The Declaration of Independence.
우리는 우리 조선이
We
독립한
herewith proclaim
나라임과
the independence of Korea
조선 사람이 자주적인
and the liberty
민족임을
of the
선언한다.
Korean people.
이로써 세계 만국에 알려 인류
This we proclaim to all the nations of the world
큰 도의를 분명히 하는 바이며
in witness of human
이로써
equality.
자선만대에 깨우쳐 일러
This we proclaim to our descendants so that they may enjoy in perpetuity their inherent right to nationhood. Inasmuch as this proclamation originates from our 5,000-year history, inasmuch as it springs from the loyalty of 20 million people, inasmuch it affirms our yearning for the advancement of everlasting liberty, inasmuch as it expresses our desire to take part in the global reform rooted in human conscience. It is the solemn will of heaven, the great tide of our age, and a just act necessary for the coexistence of all humankind. Therefore, no power in this world can obstruct or suppress it. Victims of the outdated notions of aggression and brute force, we have now suffered for a decade, for the first time in our long history, under foreign tyranny. Our right to existence deprived, our spiritual growth stunted, our national pride and honor damaged, and our opportunity to make our own creative contribution to the progress of world civilization lost. Surely, if we are to eradicate our long-standing sense of injustice, if we are to extricate ourselves from today's pain, if we are to forestall tomorrow's threat, we are to resuscitate our trampled national pride. If we as individuals are to reach our full potential, if we are to deliver our children from the legacy of shame, if we are to bequeath to our future generations blessing and prosperity, our first and foremost duty is to secure the independence of our people. If each and every 20 million of us carry a sword in our hearts, and if we are supported by today's shared human conscience, ready to stand by us equipped with arms of justice and morality, What can stop us from pressing forward to defeat the strongest? If we regroup and build up our strength, what aim can we not accomplish? Though Japan has repeatedly violated its promises since the Treaty of 1876, we do not here condemn its perfidy. Though its scholars and government officials dismiss our great dynastic achievements in order to prop up its claim that our history began as a foreign colony with a primitive civilization, though it merely seeks a conqueror's gratification, willfully ignoring the ancient foundation and the outstanding characteristics of our people, we do not here take it to task. We are pressed to reprimand ourselves and thus have little time to reproach others. Busy with today's work, we have little time to chastise yesterday's actions. Today, our only duty is to rebuild ourselves, not to demolish others. It is to explore our new destiny according to the solemn dictates of our conscience, not to squabble with others over fleeting grudges and old animosities.
낡은 사상과 묵은 세력에 얽매여 있는 일본 정치가들이 공명에 희생된 불합리하고
We will rectify the unnatural and unjust status. We will restore our national, rational foundation. This again by rectifying the unnatural, irrational ambition of the Japanese politicians in the grip of obsolete ideas. The annexation made without national consensus has inevitably led to intimidation used as a temporary measure, inequality caused by discrimination. Just look at the result today. The chasm of rancor has grown so wide that bridging the two peoples with differing interests seems all but impossible. To boldly right old wrongs, opening a new relationship based on true mutual understanding is certainly the best way for both countries to avert disaster and foster amity. To forcibly bind 20 million people filled with bitterness and enmity will not secure lasting peace. Moreover, it will exacerbate the apprehension and distrust of 400 million Chinese people who hold the key to East Asian stability, which will undoubtedly lead to the unrest and eventual downfall of the entire region. Therefore, establishing Korean independence today will permit Koreans to return to their rightful lives. At the same time, will enable the Japanese to break away from their wrongful path and concentrate on their responsibility as a major player in East Asia, and will free the Chinese from their nightmare of uncertainty and anxiety about Japan. Korean independence will indeed be an indispensable step toward the stability of East Asia, which will in turn contribute to the attainment of world peace. With the well-being of humanity at stake, the establishment of Korean independence is a grave issue that transcends mere animosity between two nations. Behold, a new world is approaching before our very eyes. The age of might has receded, and the age of morality has arrived. The spirit of humanism cultivated throughout the past century now begins to throw its light on a new chapter in world history. Just as a new spring has come, hastening the rebirth of every living thing, pulse, once frozen in the bitter cold and snow, now quickens in the warm breeze and sunshine. The good fortune of heaven and earth has returned to us, and we ride the changing tide of the world. Do not hesitate or flinch. By protecting our inalienable individual right to freedom, we will enjoy our lives to the full. By realizing our bountiful creativity, our national civilization will flower in the warmth of spring that pervades the world. We hereby rise up. Conscience is on our side, and truth marches with us. Men and women, young and old, leave your darkened corners and partake in the joyful resurrection along with all creation. The spirit of our many ancestors protects us from within, and the tide of the new world from without. To begin is to succeed. Let us march straight into the light. We hereby pledge the following. Today's undertaking reflects the demands of our people for justice, morality, survival, and prosperity. Therefore, we will act solely in the spirit of liberty, never in the spirit of enmity. To the last person and to the last moment, we will forthrightly express the will of the Korean people. We will respect order in all our actions and ensure that our demeanor and claims are always honorable and upright. The first day of the third month of the 4,252nd year of the founding of Korea, the representatives of the Korean people, 선병희, 길선주, 이필주, 백용성, 김왕규, 김병조, 김창준, 권동진, 권병덕, 나용환, 나인협, 양전백, 양한묵, 유여대, 이갑성, 이명룡, 이승훈, 이종훈, 이종일, 임예환, 박준승, 박희도, 박동환, 신홍식, 신석구, 오세창, 오화영, 정춘수, 최성모, 최린, 한용운, 홍병기, 홍기조. Next, the President will award government decorations to persons of distinguished services to independence. Of the 65 recipients, 5 will be presented the decorations. Recipients are those who sacrificed their lives or were imprisoned for their efforts and activities to gain independence, taking part in the March 1st movement. We would like to ask the families of the persons of distinguished services to independence to please join us on the stage when they hear their names. Order of Merit for National Foundation, Patriotic Medal, the late Song Nak-jung. Order of Merit for National Foundation, the National Medal, the late Shin Young-hak. Also, the Presidential Citation, the late Lee Won-gun. Order of Merit, the late Song Nak-jung. This Order of Merit is presented in recognition of the recipient's noble contribution in the establishment and independence of the Republic of Korea. Order of Merit for National Foundation, the National Medal, March 1st, 2016. The grandson of the late Song Nak-jung, Song Ki-hong, will receive the Order of Merit. Order of Merit, National Foundation, the National Medal, the late Shin Young-hak. His grandson, Kuk Jung-yeol, will receive the Order of Merit. Order of Merit, National Foundation, National Medal, the late Chung Tae-in. His grandson, Chung Il-sang, will receive the medal. Order of Merit National Foundation, the National Medal, the late Cho Sung-hak, his grandson, Park Chang-lak, will receive the Order of Merit on his behalf. Receiving the presidential citation is the late Lee Won-gun. His grandson, Lee Young-hun, will receive the presidential citation on his behalf.
수상자께서 인사드리겠습니다. 내빈께 인사.
The recipients will greet the audience. We would like to ask them to return to their seats. Next, the President will deliver a speech commemorating the 97th March 1st movement.
Fellow Koreans, 7 million compatriots overseas, our brethren in North Korea, decorated patriots who fought for the nation's independence, distinguished guests. Today we celebrate the meaningful 97th March 1st Independence Movement. I bow my head in tribute to the martyr forefathers and patriots who dedicated and sacrificed themselves for the independence of our nation. My heartfelt sympathy and gratitude goes out to the decorated patriots and the bereaved families. 97 years ago on this day today, transcending social status, class, religion, and ideology, the Korean people came together as one to respond to the call for independence. And with patriotism and a deep passion for independence, they came together as one. Patriot Yoo Gan-soon said, "It is sad that I can only sacrifice my life for my country," and her patriotism soon became the spirit of the March 1st Independence Movement, and the March 1st Independence Movement enabled the Korean people to come together as one. The March 1st Independence Movement was a historic moment when Korea came together as one to win back the country. It instilled patriotism and courage and hope in the Korean people and showed the Korean people that we could achieve anything. As a bright light of the East, this movement greatly inspired the national liberation movements around the world. The spirit of the March 1st Independence Movement led to the establishment of the Provisional Government of the Republic of Korea, and we were ultimately able to achieve independence we deeply yearned for. Rising from the ashes of war, we achieved both industrialization and democratization, and we proudly built the Republic of Korea, a model for the world. $70 ago, we were able to achieve liberation, which we deeply yearned for. And today we are living in a free and prosperous Korea. The blood of our forefathers enabled us to build this country. And I believe that it is our duty to our ancestors to achieve true peaceful unification and to pass on this true peaceful unification to our future generations. Fellow Koreans, I believe that achieving peaceful unification on the Korean Peninsula and enabling our future generations to live in a peaceful and prosperous Korean Peninsula will be a true embodiment of the March 1st Independence Movement spirit. To date, the government has firmly responded to the provocation of North Korea. It has strengthened official dialogue and people-to-people exchanges and cooperation. It has built trust between the two Koreas and the foundation for peaceful unification. And it has also made concessions and provided strong support to North Korea. Despite these efforts, North Korea carried out its third nuclear test before my government took office. And recently, it has carried out long-range missile tests and fourth fourth nuclear test, and through extreme provocations, it is seriously undermining the security and safety of us. And even now, North Korea is pledging that it will carry out nuclear test and long-range missile test. Reckless provocations by North Korea, if we leave them alone, they will continue with their nuclear tests, and there will be fifth and sixth nuclear test, and North Korea's nuclear weapons will undermine the survival of our people and also threaten the stability of Northeast Asia and world peace. I believe that this is a strong challenge to the peace of the Republic of Korea, and it seriously threatens the peace that the global community hopes to establish. With our previous methods of response, I believe that it is clear now that we cannot undermine the determination of North Korea to develop its nuclear weapons. North Korea has used nuclear weapons to maintain its regime. It has exploited its people and has focused all resources on developing nuclear weapons. North Korea must clearly understand that these methods no longer are meaningful and that they can no longer maintain their regime through nuclear weapons. More than any other time, the international community has come together and has shown strong, united will that North Korea's nuclear weapons will no longer be tolerated. Over 100 countries around the world have strongly condemned North Korea's nuclear test, and in the very near future, the most effective and strongest United Nations Security Council resolution will be adopted. This resolution shows the firm and collected will of the international community that North Korea must firmly pay the price for its long-range missiles and nuclear tests, which is a clear disregard for the United Nations Security Council as well as the international community. Furthermore, the United States has passed a North Korea resolution bill, and our allies, Japan and the European Union, are now imposing strong sanctions on North Korea. As we move forward, our government will leave the door for dialogue open, but unless North Korea shows that they're willing to change and willing to pursue for denuclearization, Korea and the international community will continue to pressure North Korea. The government, based on firm security posture and international cooperation, will continue to make efforts so that North Korea will have no choice but to give up its nuclear weapons program. The ball is now in North Korea's court. The countries surrounding the Korean peninsula, I believe, will actively join us as we try to bring peace to the Korean peninsula and the world. North Korea must give up its nuclear weapons program. If it continues to heighten tension on the Korean peninsula, this can no longer go on. And so I believe that there is, more than any other time, a very strong need for peaceful unification on the Korean peninsula. The reason why we yearn for unification is because we want the vision of a world free of nuclear weapons to begin here on the Korean peninsula, and we wish to share freedom, human rights, and prosperity with our brethren in North Korea. The Korean government will continue to make efforts to create a new Korean peninsula which will be filled with peace, prosperity, and freedom, and we believe that this will be a way to continue to carry on the spirit of the March 1st movement. We hope that the Korean people will actively support our efforts. We hope that the politicians will move away from political disputes and work with us so that we can respond to North Korea, which is now looking for the opportunity to engage in provocations, and so that we can protect the people of Korea from any terrorism. Fellow Koreans, the March 1st Independence movement was an embodiment of our deep passion for freedom and independence. It was responding to the spirit of that time, which was global peace and happiness of mankind. Last year, for the first time in 24 years, Japan and Korea reached an agreement on the so-called comfort women issue.
The agreement is the fruit of dedicated and desperate efforts to reach an agreement and solution before the passing of more victims of sexual slavery. The government will continue to spare no efforts in providing substantive support to the victims while taking actions to restore their honor and dignity and to heal their wounds. The Japanese government must also remember its past wrongdoings and uphold the purpose and spirit of the late agreement and make efforts so that this can serve as a reminder to future generations. So the two countries, while facing squarely the past, should join hands and open a new chapter in Korea-Japan relations. Honorable fellow Koreans, North Korea continues its provocations and continues direct threats to the Blue House and is continuing to build tension and uncertainty. And this is leading to very difficult external and internal economic conditions. In order to respond to secular stagnation, in order to secure growth potential of our economy, we must carry out reform to transform the economic fundamentals, though it will not be easy. I will strengthen the country's economic foundation by successfully completing the 3-year economic innovation plan and 4 major reforms despite the difficulties that is coming from the political circle. Thanks to the support shown by the Korean people, we have made significant progress in creating a creative economy and enriching our culture and carrying out the 4 major reforms. However, reform in the labor market and initiatives to promote the service industry, which I believe will create tens of thousands of jobs and reform our economic fundamentals, are stuck, failing to overcome the opposition in the vested interest and also the political circle. In particular, reform in the labor market is a reform that will create jobs for youths of this country. The youths of this country are our future, and they are in despair. We need to continue with reform in the labor market in order to create more quality jobs. I urge labor and management to make concessions and also the political circle to heed to the aspirations and yearnings of the Korean people. The government will continue down this inevitable path of reform for the future of this country, and it will do so steadfastly along with the support of the Korean people. To revitalize the Korean economy, to make a new leap forward, we need to change the way we see and think of the relationship between the private sector and government. Nowadays, the private sector, companies come up with innovative technology and new ideas. And we live in an era where the government cannot keep up with the speed of the private sector. So in other words, we need to start new growth engines in new industries by transforming the way we regulate companies. We will be introducing regulation-free zones in cities and provinces around the nation, and we will boldly eliminate core regulations that are restricting growth in strategic industries. It is important that we spread the spirit of creative thinking and innovation across the economy through creating a creative economy and by enhancing our culture. We will complete a sustainable creative economy ecosystem whereby startups can continue to grow and where large conglomerates and small and medium-sized companies can enjoy shared growth. Also, we will integrate culture and IT, and we will continue to win the hearts of people around the world with the Korean wave. We will conquer new cultural and economic territories by doing so and create new value. This year, we will successfully complete these various reforms, and we will spare no efforts so that the Korean people can actually feel the fruits of these reforms. We need to carry out change. We need innovation in Korea before another crisis strikes. We are running out of time. We need to understand why the people of Korea have started a Save Our Livelihood petition. We need to hear the voices of the Korean people. We are faced with external and internal difficulties and issues, and we are facing threats in terms of terrorism. And amid this backdrop, the National Assembly is being stalled. This is a dereliction of duty, and this exposes the Korean people to threats and dangers. Honorable fellow Koreans, it is at times like this we need to hear your true voice. We need to see your strength. The Korean people always showed immense strength and will in overcoming difficulties when the country was in trouble. Looking back in history, the Korean people have overcome numerous difficulties. And Korea, this is a country that has been built on the sacrifice of patriotic martyrs. I strongly believe that the crisis we face today can be overcome if the Korean people unite together. We are a people who have achieved the miracle of the Han River. We have overcome the Asian financial crisis. So we need to unite as one, transcending region, generations, and status. We need to come together to build a new Korea. We know all too well the pain and suffering caused by complacency and by inaction. In order not to repeat the past, in order not to be annexed by another country, we need to take action for development and for integration. I believe that the strength and will of the Korean people who have signed the petition for the livelihood petition in this cold weather will transform Korea. And I hope the actions today will be remembered 50, 100 years down the road as a proud and beautiful chapter in the history of Korea. As we remember the patriotism and unity that made the March 1st movement possible, let us unite together and march down the path of prosperity and peaceful unification. Thank you.
Well, that was President Park Geun-hye's speech marking the 97th anniversary of Korea's independence movements. Thanks to the wonderful job as well done by translators who were translating that for us. We'll bring you a full and very comprehensive summary of the President's speech during our next newscast. But let's briefly touch upon the main points made by the President. There were three strings, essentially: North Korea, Korea-Japan relations, and the domestic economy. She said peace on the Korean Peninsula is the way to carry on the spirit of Korea's independence. She said that South Korea has tried to build strong inter-Korean ties through dialogue and aid. But despite this, North Korea, Pyongyang continues to threaten the South Korean people, and the provocations are a grave threat not only to the security of South Korea and its neighbors, but to the world. And the world needs to let North Korea realize that its military ambitions are not the way to maintain the regime. And the North must pay the price for its provocations, and international sanctions are coming down the line. She says the world has come together to strongly condemn North Korea, and there will be the strongest UN Security Council resolution coming very soon. She also mentioned how countries like the US and Japan and the European Union have come up with their own unilateral sanctions to slap on the regime. North Korea really, she says, has no choice but to give up its nuclear weapons and its strong military ambitions. Now, moving on to what she said briefly about South Korea-Japan relations. She said that she hopes South Korea and Japan will faithfully implement the landmark agreement that the two countries reached on Japan's sexual enslavement of Korean women before and during World War II. That was reached late last year. She said she hoped for a new chapter going forward in Seoul-Tokyo ties, and she also promised that the Korean government will continue to do its best to support the now elderly victims. And the third and final main pillar of her speech was on the domestic economy. On the economy, she said economic bills must be passed and public sector reform has to be implemented for the sake of the Korean economy. She said without this, it's going to be extremely difficult to create jobs, not only for the general population, but especially, she mentioned, for the nation's young people who are suffering tremendously at the moment. The youth unemployment rate in Korea is much, much higher than the general unemployment rate. So she says much more needs to be done on that. She touched upon the four labour reform bills she wants to pass. Well, yes, that is pretty much a comprehensive roundup of what she had to say. But like we say, we are going to be connecting to our reporters during our noon news, which is coming up in roughly 1 hour and 15 minutes time. But we are going to pretty much leave it there. And for our Korean viewers, if you haven't done already, now might be the time to hoist your Korean flag outside of your home or your business to show how proud you are of the activists that fought so hardly for Korea's independence all those years ago, 97 years ago, of course, and of course after that, all the way up until Korea was finally freed from the oppression of Japan's colonial rule. Happy Independence Movement Day to everyone watching, and especially to our Korean viewers who are tuning in around the world. I've been Mark Broom, and we will see you again for our next newscast. That is coming up at noon Korea time. So until then, goodbye.